Hello everyone, Alexa Donne here, and today I am going to be quashing 5 unrealistic writer expectations. These are the super outsized expectations and ideas that some people, certainly not all, but some have for the idea of what it means to be a writer, what it means to be an author, to write and publish books. So I'm just here to tug you back down to earth a bit to reset your expectations for writing and publishing a bit. So the first outsized expectation is that you are going to get rich quick, that writing is a really great way to make money. I see this one on Reddit all the time, people who post and say, I really need to make some quick cash. How can I do this with writing? And inevitably the answer is don't. You can't. Writing really is not a quick fix solution, financially speaking. There are some, of course, areas of writing where you might be able to earn some funds from like a freelance point of view, like if you're doing content farm type stuff, but we're here to talk about novels. Writing novels is never a way to make money quickly or really to make much money at all. The process of writing a book takes such a long time, and generally the way that things work, either with advances in traditional publishing or just kind of playing the odds with self-publishing where you actually have to put your money up front and then be good at a bunch of different things. Basically, there's just not a lot of money in it. At the least, it's a long game where you're gonna have to put in a ton of work, usually write multiple books over a period of time to get the money kind of rolling in and adding up, and even then, it's the extreme outliers who end up making a ton of money off books. Writing books is the worst way to make a ton of money fast or sometimes at all. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be paid for your work and there's not any money ever involved. It's just never quite the scale or timing that people seem to expect. The second outsized expectation so many people have is that you are going to become famous by writing books. We're just going to use the word outlier a ton. Most people simply don't become famous from writing books, especially when you consider the full scale of publishing options available. From traditional publishing all the way over to self-publishing, there's just such an intense volume of people writing and publishing books at any given time. Thousands and thousands and thousands. Just in traditional publishing, there's thousands of new books a year, and then you should multiply that exponentially, including self-publishing. So there's this huge field. Very few books and thus authors rise to the top, get really lucky, have that breakout sensation moment, and become super, super famous. Fame is also a very relative term. I'm thinking famous in terms of those mainstream authors everyone knows. Like, everyone knows who Stephen King is. Everyone knows who J.K. Rowling is. But there are tons of authors who are super successful in kind of their niches and their specific categories that outside of those spaces, the average person doesn't know who they are. So reset your expectation that you will become world famous as well as incredibly rich. At best, just hope for some degree of knownness within your niche space for writing. If you're lucky, you might become a household name within your category or genre space, but fame is just very fleeting in the book world. The third outsized expectation for having your book published and blowing up and becoming rich and famous is that you will have a movie made out of your book, or at best, a TV show. But any expectation that you're going to have a TV show or movie made out of your book is just way out there. Talk about outliers. So you may have heard, of course, of plenty of books being optioned for television and movies. So this is when a studio or producer or whatnot pays you a sum of money so that they can keep you on hold, basically, to consider turning your work into a television show or movie. But it's kind of a diminishing returns thing. Most books don't get optioned, and then of books that do get optioned, a teeny tiny percentage of those ever make it to the production phase of a TV show or a movie. So let's say 100 books are optioned for TV and movies. It'd be amazing if 2, 3, maybe 4 of those are turned into TV shows and movies down the line. It can take years for that to happen. So you should never bank on the idea that your book is going to be turned into a movie or a television show. Options are always gravy. It's a little extra money in your pocket, even if nothing ever comes of it. And then, yeah, if you're one of the lucky ones who gets turned into a movie or a TV show, I mean, celebrate. But it tends to be that one thing goes with another. So you know those unicorn outliers who blow up and become rich and famous from writing books that you shouldn't expect to do? Those are most often also the ones that are turned into TV and movies. And then once they are, those books become exponentially even more successful. It's very top heavy. You get people at the top who break out and get super, super lucky. The rest of us, it's just not likely to happen. So don't bank on it. It's a nice to have, a cool thing that just almost never happens. The fourth super unrealistic writer expectation is that you are destined to be a literary darling, an award winner, an instant classic, a book that will be read forever. Very few books end up falling into this space. First of all, to start with, you definitely have to write a certain kind of book to be considered an important book and kind of get that kind of push from your publisher. And that's the thing. You're pushed by your publisher in a certain way to get literary awards and honors and be on school lists and kind of become an evergreen title, and most books simply don't get that. It could be a famous book club, what have you. Most books simply don't get that. So you shouldn't go in with the expectation that that is the treatment that your book is going to get. We all, of course, want that kind of recognition. It's just not in any way guaranteed. And the reality is, most books are going to cycle off the shelves and out of the public consciousness in a couple of years at best. You gotta keep writing, and maybe eventually you could hit on a book that like captures the zeitgeist and gets the push, but never set that as an expectation for your book as something that you deserve, because you're just probably going to be disappointed and in the meantime seem like you have a massive ego. And the fifth super unrealistic writer expectation is the idea of the overnight success. That you can do any of this quickly. One day you decide, I shall write a book, and then you burp out that book in, I don't know, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, and then you're gonna get a literary agent right away because they will recognize your genius, and then they're gonna sell you for 6-7 figures to a publisher, and they're gonna fast track you to shelves, and that book is gonna explode onto the market, and you will be the chosen one and become rich and famous and have a movie made of your book and win all the awards, basically 1 through 4. And this is gonna happen very, very quickly. You decide to write a book, and a year or 2 later, you are living the life. Most people are not overnight successes, even the authors you see who are incredibly successful. Now, of course, there are some unicorns that we all know who do blow up on their first book. It does happen sometimes, but even then, it often took them 2 to 3 years to even get there, so it's certainly not overnight, but they are fortunate to break out on an early book. But so many authors, including famous authors, authors who win those awards, whose books are on shelves for years and years to come, that doesn't happen on their first book. They get into writing books and into the hustle of writing and publishing, and it takes a really long time for them to be successful and to break out. The Hunger Games wasn't Suzanne Collins' first book. Harry Potter, while it became what it did, the first few books were not runaway successes. Harry Potter kind of caught up and gained that momentum by about book 3. Now, Harry Potter still did exceedingly well, and it's almost a terrible example. But John Green is another really good one. The Fault in Our Stars, I believe, was his 4th book. His previous books did well, but nothing on that scale. But that's the first time people heard of him, and a lot of people thought, oh, this guy, look, John Green, so famous, much overnight. V.E. Schwab has had that lobbed at her as well. V.E. Schwab, overnight success when she had, I believe, 3 books come out before Vicious kind of hit, and really it was technically the series after Vicious. I digress. I could come up with a ton of examples, but 9 times out of 10, a person that you see as an overnight overnight success, who are also often called that by the media, simply are not. There's a ton of work, a ton of elbow grease, a ton of time that goes into someone becoming successful as a writer. So you gotta be in it for the long haul, for the long game. You have to push up your sleeve and put in that elbow grease and do the work and hope for the best. I want to end by letting you know that it's not all hard work. There's a ton of luck and timing that goes into publishing and publishing success. So the thing about these unrealistic expectations is that we see the outliers have these things and do these things, and of course we aspire to them. The dream is okay. The trouble is when you only think about the dream and don't have any realistic expectations, and most often you are going to run out of steam in the process of doing the thing because you expect overnight results, breakout success, tons of money, when it's really just a long game, a lot of work, and more than a bit of luck in a lot of cases. So that's it. That's me quashing 5 of your outsized, unrealistic expectations for writing and publishing. Let me know down below in the comments, are there some that you can think of that you've seen people like have these ideas about what it means to be a writer, to publish books, and you're like, not quite? And give this video a thumbs up if you like it. I will make more videos about the realities of writing and publishing. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and do that. I post new videos 2 to 3 times a week. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.